for another edition of the podcast. This will be part two of skills for long-term success. The previous episode was about management skills and the importance of developing management skills. The book recommendations we had two were The 1 Minute Manager and The E-Myth. We also discussed marketing skills as another skill set that you must develop for long-term success in your business. We discussed expert positioning, position yourself in your market as an expert, digital marketing, the importance of email marketing, social media, and so forth. The book recommendations for that skill set was Contagious, Why Things Catch On, Jab, 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 Right Hook, How to Tell Your Story in a Nosy Social World by Gary Vaynerchuk. And these book recommendations are just the beginning of your education. These book recommendations aren't the end all to be all for these particular skill sets. Obviously, you want to, take action and learn as you go as well. And then also, every time you read a book, go to the end of the book where they have like the all the books or the recommendations that they got their ideas from, and start reading some of those books. So, or if you're getting your book off Amazon and you found that book was pretty decent, say if you enjoyed the 1 Minute Manager or the E-Myth, they have other book recommendations that other people who bought that book also enjoyed or thought was a great book as well in that same genre of what the previous book that you just read was on. So it's kind of like a rabbit hole you can go down, and the further you go, the more books you read, the more you study, the better the more you'll learn about these actual skill sets. But then also, books are only theory most of the times, and it's like you're going to get the real education by doing it, taking information, implementing it, tweaking it to your own style and the way you feel like it's going to work best for your business and your life and your journey. So definitely take the skill sets serious. I feel like marketing and management are very important skills that you need to develop to be successful long term in business. Today we're going to be talking about the next two skills of this two-part series. It's sales skills and money management skills. Money management for entrepreneurs, early starting entrepreneurs. And the first topic I want to discuss is sales. Sales is not a skill that basically, like I said previously, none of these skills people are born with. You may have a little advantage because of your personality, and you might have some skills that complement that actual sales skills, or might help you a little bit in other skill sets. But you can't just go off natural talent and just think that that's going to be enough. You have to really learn these different skill sets, master them, and become an expert at implementing them, learning them, and constantly developing them. And then once you do it yourself, you have to start to teach your team, and or at the same time, you guys could be studying and reading the same literature, role playing, doing some of the same things that you're doing to develop the skill set, so your whole team can be better equipped to handle different situations, especially sales. Sales is a very, very important aspect of your business. Before I learned the importance of sales, I was just like, when I first got into business, I was just like all about marketing, like just get my phone to ring, and marketing is fun. You get to put your business out in the world and watch how the world responds to your story, your strategy, your marketing. And once you get those responses and you see that it's working, you feel good about that. But then there's another step. Like once the phone rings, in my mind, now that I've started to understand sales and, the difference between sales and marketing is that sales begin, the sales process begins once you answer the phone. Like everything after that is a sales system. And whether you have one or not, it's a sales system. You may have a broken sales system that's not closing as many clients that you could if you had an actual sales system that you created and built off the knowledge of, of sales, knowing how to be a salesperson. And, we went from basically getting the phone call, setting up the consultation the best we could on the phone. I kind of knew not to give so much information over the phone because then they wouldn't really need you to they wouldn't allow you to come present your whole offer. So, I pretty much understood that, but that was about it. And I just did that so we can get into the consultation. You always want to get to the consultation. You want to be able to sit in front of your prospects. You want to be able to sit in front of your leads and begin to, implement your sales process. And like I said previously, we would just go in, present, tell them a little bit about our background, how we got into business, tell them what we, a few points of why we feel like you should, do business with other, opposed to other companies in the area, other local companies in the area. And that was pretty much it. Then we'll make an offer, tell them the price, and that would be it. Once I started studying sales, I knew I was making a lot of mistakes. I knew that presentation, we were getting a lot of calls, we were going on consultation, but we weren't getting as, our close rate was significantly high based on the percentage of consultations we had. We were already doing pretty good, but getting to that point was kind of hard because, we would lose the caller somewhere in before we set up the before they agreed to a consultation, but after they called in. So it was like something missing. Like we're not getting enough consultations off the leads we getting coming in. So we, as I learned more about sales and, different strategies and techniques, we began to obviously do better. And I'm gonna just kind of give you guys some of the top tactics that we learned in sales that began to help us develop our system. And this is all come from training that I've actually took, books that I've read, and there's pretty much only one person that I follow personally is the Sandler training, sales training program, his literature, his training, and so forth. So the first thing I, began to understand the importance of was asking good questions. Asking questions that lead them to expose as much as they can about their current situation and how, and just listening and trying to find all the reasons that they need to have our company come in and help them and their family through the home care process. And, asking questions and developing great questions was the beginning of, me developing a sales system. And we would ask some preliminary questions to get the consultation. And then once we get to the consultation, then we'll start asking some real questions and digging and trying to find the real pain points. So the first aspect of it, the very first thing we learned and we began to implement was asking great questions, creating some good questions, and then getting in a consultation and then start asking great questions and doing, letting the client do 80% of the talking and you're just doing 20% of the talking because you're listening and you're also taking copious notes. You're asking questions like what are some of the things that you and your family have experienced since the decline in your loved one? You're asking stuff like that. Who's been the major who has this, this issue with your loved one put the most pressure on in your family? How have you been dealing with it prior to reaching out to us or up until this point? If you've been dealing with another company, what are some of the things that the company that you felt could have done better, or what are some of the things that you feel like the company did great, and why are you calling us, and you're just trying to pinpoint all these different pain points and figure out like what's going on and what's wrong. You're just trying to figure out like what's wrong, and then get to like really deep into their problems. And you're taking a lot of notes. They see you. You want them to see you taking notes, because a person taking notes to when you're talking makes it feel like you're very important. So you're taking notes, but you're also really listening, and you're trying to develop rapport. So you have to be kind of conscious of your body language, their body language. If they're kind of sitting in up close, talking low, you want to kind of mirror that situation. If they say, hey, dude, would you like a cup of coffee or some water? You want to mirror whatever they're doing. Mirroring is another, like subtle sales tactic that you'll learn once you start taking these, start learning more about sales and stuff like that, and just building rapport. When you hear things that ring true for you or past experiences, you chime in and say, yes, I understand that we've dealt with this prior to, or I had a family member similar to this situation, or you're just trying to build rapport, create an environment of understanding and empathy, while also trying to really dig into the details of what that actual client needs. And sometimes it doesn't happen as quickly, and you have to kind of build, like kind of make the environment comfortable with just light talk. But the main goal with asking questions is, and asking good quality questions, is to just find their pain, getting to the point of their biggest reason for giving you a call. And with those notes, once you find the pain, you want to go into creating a personalized solution just for their family, and then that's how you kind of present your offer. You just let them know, remind them, and let them know how each one of these pain points your company can address, or you're able to address, and how working with you will allow them to alleviate these issues that they have presented to you over the course of this conversation. There's some other little things that you definitely want to get to the bottom of, like, are they the decision maker in the home or over the actual client? I mean, the actual patient. Do they have to consult someone else? Can they afford it? There's other little things that just goes into this conversation, also, that you want to get to the bottom of before you can actually create a true solution. Because if you find out early on in the conversation that they really can't afford it, and they're just kind of like shopping around for the cheapest prices, then that's going to determine some of the things that you can offer and or may not be able to offer. You also want to find out if they're the decision maker. Are they capable of signing a contract today and closing this deal, and us starting our process of getting a caregiver over there to assist their loved one. So these are also some things that you're going to have to learn to ask in ways to where, though, you're not offensive, you're not too abrupt, and you're not, you're just in at an even calm place where you can, create this conversation and get these questions answered, because you need these questions answered before you can really present your services and provide solutions for their family. Another great strategy, or what I should say, just sales technique that I learned that I never thought of. I always knew about referrals, and it's referrals. This is called building referral trees. And in Sandler training, they teach us that money does grow on trees. They grow on referral trees. And how you develop these referral trees is by simply looking at your first client, past client that you serviced, and or the current clients that you have. And if you're dealing with a past client, you're just reaching back out to them. Obviously, they would have to be a satisfied client. And the first part of building a referral tree is providing excellent service. No matter what the situation, just providing extraordinary customer service, going above and beyond. And I'm gonna tell you the what will make and break your company, even if there's things that your agency is having trouble with a particular client, whether it's been you know you placed a bad caregiver and she just wasn't great for that family, or there were any other kind of issues that arise with your agency and a client. What's going to determine the level of satisfaction throughout this problem solving process is how you communicate and how often you communicate. You have to communicate with your clients no matter what, no matter how uncomfortable the conversation is going to be. You can't run from it. You have to address it head on, and do your best to rectify the issue. I know that was a little off, but that's kind of like the preliminaries to building a referral system, because there has to be great service in the beginning. So once you have a past or present client and they're satisfied, then you can use them as start to build your referral tree. So you look at that first client as like the stump of the tree, like the middle part of the tree. I think it's called the stump, and then the branches are the referrals that you asked for, and then that's how you actually develop a referral tree. So what happens is, hey, you've been satisfied with our, we enjoy being a home care provider for you. Whatever you have, we've the relationship was great. We love servicing you, or we love to continue service you, depending on if you're still dealing with them. And we still have some great caregivers who don't have cases at the moment. We're excited about the things we're doing in the community, helping the senior community, helping families in need. And we would, the only how we can continue to do this is if people like you, satisfied customers, give us referrals. And with this basic presentation, you ask for at least 5 referrals. So, and that's how those will be the 5 branches to your referral tree. And you give them some time and say, hey, look, if you have somebody that who needs services now that you could think of, or somebody that you may think they may need services in the near future or in the future, we would just appreciate if you could write down 5 names, phone numbers, contact information of 5 people that you know in your network based on our services to you, and let us potentially get some clients from your referrals. And this develops a referral tree. That's your referral tree. Now you have this tree with 5 branches, 5 potential leads. And then and just as a side note, you got to remember the number one best lead is a lead that's sent from a person who you've already serviced. So your clients are in turn the number one salespeople in your business. Satisfied clients. And another thing to remember, people who are satisfied are less likely to tell other people about their experience. But people who are disappointed, those are the ones that just tell everybody. For some reason, that's just human nature. We want to tell everybody bad news versus some good information. And that's just another quick side note to remember, that when you're servicing these families, you have to provide excellent service. You can't always control certain issues that are inevitably going to arise, but you can manage that situation in a professional way that's satisfactory to your customer. And that's another strong sales point that I want you to start developing and thinking about, is building a referral tree. And then from that referral tree, those 5 people, and then you ask 5 more people, and then if you ask 5 more, then you kind of see the exponential growth that happens within a referral tree. And if you already have 2 or 3 clients, or 5 or 6 clients, and then you start adding 5 referrals from each one of these people, then you'll really see how you can develop a nice referral tree based on the few clients that you do have, and start to expand your business pretty quickly. it was something else I wanted to touch on when it comes to that. I can't remember at this point. But and the last point that I would make as far as with developing an actual sales skill set is practice. Practice is where you're gonna excel. You have to be doing it in actual circumstances, implementing your sales process, and then you have to be role playing and practicing this stuff with other members in your staff, your spouse, someone in your life, so you can start developing these skills. These are highly sales is probably the most important skill that you need to develop, because without closing a client, if you can't close, you don't have any money. You don't. That means you're not even in business. You may have all the flashy things. You might have a license, website, the best brochures, the shiniest business cards. But if you don't have any clients, you're not doing any business. So you have to develop the skills that's going to allow you to not only get a client, close a client, but build on that client and continue to get in more clients, and then build referral trees out on top of those clients, provide great service, and grow your business. And that's pretty much what I had to say about sales. It's just like a beginning to your journey, and just some beginning thoughts to get you excited or aware of the thing, some of the things that you need to be thinking about when it comes to sales and adding value to clients, finding their pain points, and then creating personalized solutions for them, and building referral trees, building referral networks within your current and past clients. And I don't think I mentioned that I would wait at least, before I ask a new client for a referral, I would wait for at least 90 days of stellar service before I ask for a referral, before I start asking for the 5 referrals. Why? Because you just don't want to ask it too soon. I mean, it's obviously why you wouldn't want to ask it too soon, just because you don't want to. They didn't really have any chance to see who you are, see you at your best, and really form a real opinion. And I know 3 months does sound kind of long, but depending on the shifts and the hours, obviously it could be a little quicker. You could probably ask for it in 2 months, but I just don't want to ask them coming in the door for referrals if we just started, to build the business relationship. So that was the thing that I wanted to mention. Book recommendation is the Sandler Rules, 49 Timeless Selling Principles and How to Apply Them. Is the book I would start with. And again, like I was mentioning earlier, you could read this book, and then whatever site that you buy this book at, or store that you go in, Barnes and Nobles, or their website, or Amazon, or whatever you use, you'll see other sales books that are equally great, and you can study those as well. So you kind of want to start building a library for each one of these topics. Actually, sales, marketing, and management. So far, you want to start building a library, implementing, and learning as much as you can about each one of these topics. So this one book isn't going to give you everything you need. The cool thing about the Sandler books are that he does have actual programs and trained vendors who teach his principles. So you can probably find a Sandler sales group or training facility in your area, because they're all over the country. So it's people who took his sales principles and they actually created coaching programs and mentor programs, and they actually teaching people how to sell and stuff of that nature. So the Sandler program is much more deeper than just a few books, and he has very many books. So can't overlook the importance of developing sales skills on no level. The next topic that I'm going to discuss is money management skills for entrepreneur. Now, the first thing you have to do when you initially start a business is start preparing for long-term investment into that business. A business's air, the air that a business breathes is money. The air that allows a business to breathe is money. And if you don't um, have money to put into your business is going to suffocate. There's a lot of things that we can do, ourselves. We can try to, make up for with like sweat equity just by you doing the own work, your own putting in forth your own hours and your own energy and doing a lot of things yourself, and what you're going to have to do anyway in the very beginning, especially if you have a constricted budget or a limited budget getting started. But you have to start to think about, um, this is going to be a long-term investment, and you have to come to grips with there's going to be there's a necessity of sacrifice in the beginning. You have to prepare to sacrifice some of the things, some of the niceties that you may have going on in your lifestyle that you have to either pause or let go altogether to redirect those funds towards your company. Um, for example, now I'm going to kind of cover a few things that the data shows that Americans in general spend the most or overspend the most money on. And the first thing I would say is your rent or mortgage. I know it's kind of hard if you're in a mortgage to you know get that mortgage payment less than what it is, but there are ways to do it. You can renegotiate with your lender, get a loan modification. You could get a a loan modification and refinance the mortgage with a new lender at a better rate, at a better monthly payment, a lower monthly payment. There are some things you can do. You can sell your house obviously and get into a smaller situation. And I know that seems pretty extreme, but starting a business is pretty extreme, and it has to for you to be serious about the success of it. You have to consider making some very um, uncomfortable, possibly uncomfortable decisions about your income and what are you gonna and how you're gonna fund your new venture. Um, so where we live, and if we're renting, sometimes we're renting in a place where and if we do own our home, think about converting that property into an assisted living and then moving yourself out. That's always that made the most sense for us in the beginning because it's like, okay, we will buy this home, but now we living in it. But okay, we see an opportunity to assisted living. Let's turn this actual home into an assisted living facility, an assisted living community. Put some clients in here at a minimum of 3,500 a bed, and just move into a condo somewhere. You know what I mean? Because we're not at the point where we're ready to retire. We're just kind of like in buying a home. We were just kind of like focused on like the American dream. That's the next thing that you're supposed to do. But in actuality, it's not the greatest decision to make, especially if you're in the throes of building a business and your business isn't to where you want it to be. um Ultimately you still are in startup mode. And there's something that I never forget that Amazon, Jeff Bezos, is one of his quotes that he kind of instills in all his throughout his whole Amazon organization. And it's day one, week one. He said day one, week one. So you have to always keep this mindset of this is the first day I'm starting my business, and I have to be that enthusiastic, that excited, that focused, that creative, that you know, um, that prepared every day going into my business and how I must approach the decisions that I make for my life, my personal life, and my business. And it always brings you back to like the basics, what works, and how excited I was in the beginning, and what I was willing to put in, the hours I was willing to work in the first week, in the first day of my company. It's like un un unmatchable optimism, unexplained motivation, like you up for days, you just super excited once you first get started. And that's the um mindset that you also want to have when you're thinking about your money. Even when you start making money, you still have to remember what worked, what are the things that, and I mean obviously not the first day, but what are some of the things that worked in the beginning that got me here. I have to reinvest in those things, focus on those things, continue to do the things that got me here. But so thinking about turning your home into an assisted living or independent living community, or Airbnb one of the rooms out, just for some more income. If you're renting in a place where you might feel like, you know, the rent could be a little cheaper, look for a smaller place if you can. You know, look for a smaller place. So these are the things that we spend the most money. We overspend on as Americans based on like certain data. The next thing is food, eating out. It's like one of the top things that Americans overspend on. We eat, and it's not the quantity, it's just the prices that we're paying. I mean, obviously everybody knows Americans eat the most food. That's hands down, but that's a whole nother conversation. But what I'm saying is the importance of going to the grocery store, or like I use Instacart. They bring me my groceries. I eat the same thing all the time. So they bring me my groceries to my door every, as soon as I click the button, within like 4 hours, my whole groceries done. Because I already created the list in the app. Because I get the same thing over and over again. So I just push, what list I'm using. It's like if I want to add something different, like tacos on there or something like that, I got a taco list, different things like that. But, you say like, okay, that's cool. But how is that really helpful? Because before that, I'm going out to eat every day. You know what I mean? If I'm working, I'm getting up early. I'm like, you know what? I want to get out the house. I want to get out the office. I'm going downtown to the breakfast joint, because breakfast is my favorite meal. So I'm going to I'm going to a restaurant almost every morning, spending 25, 15 to 25 bucks on breakfast, and with the tip included. And then breakfast wears off. Now I'm hungry again. So now it's, maybe a little later in the day, and I'm starving because I've been working so focused, and I haven't eaten anything. So now I need to go back to another restaurant because I had no plan. I had nothing prepared, and I'm just kind of just in the world working and eating. And I'm not eating the healthiest foods all the time. So not only am I wasting my money on, meals that should already have been prepared and I should have already thought this out. Some of the stuff isn't the healthiest stuff because obviously I'm eating fast food, um, just different, greasy spoon, mom and pop joints, and it's just like, it's not a great way. Once I seen the numbers, I started to realize where, a lot of where my waste was coming from, and it was food, eating out. So, I don't want to spend too much time on that, but I do want to just kind of let you guys know that the importance of meal planning, buying groceries, having your meal set out for the week is a very, very important investment into how you can focus and minimize low impact decision making. That's another thing that I learned from some of the billionaires. They minimize low impact decisions. What is a low impact decision? What am I going to eat? That's not going to make any impact on your business. So they try to reduce all the low impact decisions that they have to make. This is why Mark Zuckerberg, the owner of Facebook, wears the same clothes every day. His closet is full of the same exact clothes because he doesn't want to spend 30, 40, 50 minutes in the morning trying to figure out what to wear. It's a low impact decision that's not going to really do anything for his overall company's success. And it's the same with meals. And then the more you start to think about it and develop your routines and successful routines, you'll start to see like, okay, I can minimize a lot of these low impact decisions and focus that energy where it needs to be focused on my work and my career, my business, my family, and so on. The next thing after food and eating out is transportation. A lot of times we spend a lot of money on a car that we really don't need. That's I don't remember the exact list, but they're all up there at the highest. Like these are the highest. The car that we have, the place that we live, the food that we eat, we're usually spending more than what we actually need to. We're usually spending above our means because you got this new car, tax season came around, you had a deposit, and you went and got this car. Now your car payment is $500-600 a month on top of your insurance, but you riding clean, you got a Benz, but the money that you could be putting into that you're putting into that Benz, into that higher insurance because of the type of car you're driving and the gas that you have to put in there is premium gas. You may be spending upwards of, and then repairs and stuff like that, upwards to $1,000 a month just for a car. And if you working at if you have a job, the car is sitting in the garage and sitting in your front yard when you go home, sitting in your driveway, or sitting in the parking lot most of the time. So why am I going to spend this large portion of my income on a liability that I barely use? I understand that certain people enjoy nice things, luxury style living and things like that. But when you're thinking about creating a business, you have to sacrifice in the beginning to create a business that allows that type of lifestyle without you having to work every day for it. Whereas though the business will pay for that lifestyle and not you won't have to depend on your hourly wages to pay for that lifestyle. But you have to first build the business in a solid way and a profitable way to actually to begin to spit off those dollars to to fund your lifestyle. And I would rather have a profitable business that's making 10 times amount of what that car is worth. If I can get 5 of those cars if I want, opposed to just riding around looking like I got money. We got a bad habit in the black community of wanting to look like we got money but be really broke, and not really focusing on the things that get you wealth, that generate wealth, and really investing in those things like learning these skills, taking calculated risk by starting businesses, sacrificing the necessary things early on in your life, reinvesting in your education. We don't do these things as often as we should because we're so busy trying to portray an image of success. Like, I'm not interested in the image of success. I'm interested in the actual success. And, it's a maturity thing. And the way social media is with Instagram and stuff like that, everybody's trying to outdo each other. And the majority of it is fake. The sooner you realize that Instagram is not real, it's just fake as TV. Those happy people, all these happy, beautiful people are spending 2 or 3 hours to get that perfect shot, or morbidly depressed because they didn't get a certain amount of likes, and they're obsessed with other people who they think are doing much better than them, and they're just driving themselves absolutely insane over nothing. And when you can actually be developing skills, developing relationships, building networks with people, and creating opportunities for yourself, your employees, your family members, providing great solutions to your clients in a real way that will allow you to live those lifestyles and even better lifestyles. And the funny part about it, the people who really live in those lifestyles, they're not interested in putting it on the internet because they don't want people to know how much money they're making, and for multiple reasons. So that's just a quick sidebar of like what we need to kind of start thinking about, and how we want to kind of shift our mindset from the things that we need, scaling down and living under our means so we can use those extras to fund our business. We talked about food, eating out, car, your living, where you live at, your residence, and things of this nature. there's also things that you want to think about early on, and skills and certain softwares that you want to become very good at, and that's QuickBooks. You want to learn how to manage books, balance a checkbook, manage manage all your accounts, and learn how to operate QuickBooks. You can sit down with any small business accountant and learn how to manage QuickBooks, and start to really take control of your income, and prepare yourself again to run a business successfully. We operated our business the first few years like maniacs because we didn't know. You don't know what you don't know. So I didn't know that every extra dollar that I made on top of paying my caregivers, paying my bills, we couldn't go to the mall and spend it with our kids and on our clothes, and take trips to all these different places. I didn't realize that I was starving my business, and not building the skills to make this stuff long term. I was kind of just like homie hustling, just get the money here, spend it there, get it here, spend it out, give it right back to the market, instead of building something solid, and leveraging the success we was already making, are experiencing, into more success. And it took time for us to get to that place. The next thing I want to kind of discuss the importance of is focusing on what works. When you do find something that works, you need to focus on what works, even though it may not be glamorous and it may not be exciting. Whatever's working, and you find the hardest part in business is finding something that works. And when you find it, you can't abandon it. You gotta appreciate it, no matter. Like I said, and I'm really speaking about these bandit signs that I've been using since the beginning. And I know they're not glamorous. I know they're not exciting. I know they're not pretty, but for some reason they continue to work, and I continue to get some of my best clients from there, my best private play clients, even better than certain certain referral places, because these are real people in the community who have problems and they're in desperate need. If you call a bandit sign for care, you're desperate. If you call a bandit sign for the care of your loved one, you're desperate. So the people are pretty motivated when they call. So you just want to focus on whatever works. And different things are going to work for different people in different markets. We don't use Medicaid. We only deal with private pay and long-term care insurance and VA. That might not work in your market. Your market may pay a little more than we would get for Medicaid. So it might be feasible, or a better idea for you to work with Medicaid waiver, and get clients that way. It might be beneficial for you. But whatever works, when you find out what works, you work it. Even if it's word of mouth. Okay, if that's how you've been getting your clients, you need to supercharge that word of mouth. How do you do that? You ask for referrals. You talk to people. You get back into that community, and to where those word of mouths came from, and you double down on making them send you more. Since they sent you a 2 or 3, they can probably send you 20 or 30. But it's how you develop those relationships, how you prepare them, how you compensate them for that referral. That's going to depend on if they're going to if you can develop that into a real stream of clients, or just a once in a while thing. It's up to you. But you need to, whatever you can find in this business and whatever works. If you find some success online, continue to double down on that success. If you find some success offline, continue to double down on what works. Now there are benchmark studies by it's a benchmark study. It's from Care Pulse, Home Care Pulse yearly benchmarking study. And if you mention my name, you'll get a discount with them. Just as a quick little side note, when you go to purchase, you'll get a discount. But they tell you every year the top strategies of what agencies across the country are doing to get new clients, and you start there with whatever means you have. You can't, maybe you obviously you can't do it as a big $20 million franchise can do it, but you can still implement some of those same strategies in your local way, in your local market, in your business. So, focusing on what works, and then also investing in your education. This just goes back to everything I just said about the importance of developing these skills. You have to be investing in your education, like seriously. You can't watch no free, it's not no free content on YouTube that's going to tell you the way. You have to get real, training, real education from real people who are in this business or in one of those, in this particular space, whether it may be skill, sales, marketing, whatever. You need to invest in your education, invest in a mentor, invest in a coach, invest, develop relationship with some type of accountability partners, to where as though you're being held accountable to get all of these things done and to complete some of the, the things that you say you want to get done. But you definitely have to be investing in that and invest in your education. Finally, invest in people. When your business starts to work, and again, when you find something that works and you make a little money, don't go spend that money on nothing besides, more people, more help in your office. The first person I would recommend hiring, if you don't have a full-time job and you could do the day-to-day operations of your new home care service, the first person I would invest in after that is a community liaison. I would rather pay my community liaison every dollar of profit I had to go into the community for the first whatever, however long it takes. Every dollar that I can afford, I will put into the first person that I would put it into, if I can go back and do it all over again, would be a community liaison to go push my brand and my business and my business into the senior community in my marketplace. That was the best thing we could have ever done, and I should have done it sooner. And this is what I mean when I said invest in people. People are your truest assets. When when you start developing some income for your home care, and you have, a staff of caregivers, invest in your people. There are training that you can give your caregivers. There are trainings in like dementia, diet, safety, Parkinson's, diabetes. Like there's so many trainings out there that they can take online. We particularly like the Institute of Professional Care Education. You contact them, tell them you work with me, you'll get a discount. But you can train up to 10 caregivers for close to like a little bit over $100. You can have 10 caregivers online in their own little training sessions on in skills that they can receive a certificate in and become better at doing. You know what I mean? They're gonna have a better understanding of dementia. They're gonna have a higher level of training of Parkinson's. They're gonna have a higher level of training of safety in the home of seniors. And the list goes on and on. There's thousands of hours in this company has compiled of trainings, diabetes, things like that. Just things that makes your client, the things that make your caregivers better are going to make your company better. How to deal with the clients, the family members. They have training on how your caregivers deal with the family members. Like that's one thing that I don't hear enough of. Like the family can drive your caregivers insane, and it's usually the family that has nothing to do with paying no bills. Like some side brother who just all of a sudden wants to be involved in mom's care. But if he was that involved, we wouldn't even been there. But he has a lot of opinions. He has a lot of things to say. He has, and it's just you want to train your staff up so they can handle these situations. Because what happens when they better train, they make better decisions. Those decisions reflect back on you, your company, your clients, the actual paying party in that family is more satisfied, more stress free, and more willing to do what? Send you a referral. You know what I mean? Put somebody down on that referral. So prepare for long-term investment. You know, be ready to make some sacrifices. Streaming services, Netflix, and all that stuff. Cut that stuff off. Subscribe to Audible.com. Start listening to books instead of the music. Turn your car into a mobile learning center when you're commuting back and forth to work. Instead of listening to Ricky Smiley crack jokes and spill the tea, you know, read some of these books on the way back and forth to work. If you got a 45-minute commute each way, man, you got an hour and a half of time to, you know, develop yourself into a better business person, you know, and then also the importance of personal development as well. You know, you could become a better person. There's also a lot of great content and books. It's a lot of great content in these books about personal development and the importance of becoming a better human being alongside of developing these skill sets. So those are the and the book recommendation for the money management portion of the skills is Small Business Finance for the Busy Entrepreneur, Blueprint for Building a Solid, Profitable Business. And that's the book recommendation that I would suggest for that particular skill set, the money management skill set. So what we covered over the course of these 2 episodes is skills for long-term success, management skills, marketing skills, sales skills, um, and money management skills. And we had some great book recommendations. Go back, listen to it.